Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Ooh. Yo. Yep. What's up, dude? Hey, J-Dub. You're new here. Welcome, my man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Hope your weekend was good. Well, welcome, dude. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy it. Just gonna kind of chill for a little bit. Let a few more people hop in. Just kind of keep doing our thing here, you know. Want to. So I know a question was brought up about exactly what this round table hold represents. Yeah, everything would have been better then, dude. I agree. We should know by now, though. Like FromSoft, Miyazaki, they just do whatever the fuck they want. Like they're not gonna give in. Yeah, I agree. They know, though. Like, we're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to dig our heels in even further and be like, all right, this gives us some more time to figure out what's going on before the DLC. They have this recipe, like, so down by now. Like, yeah. Yep. It's so hard to tell, like, what, I feel you, bro. I feel you there. Yeah, I've lost all sense of humanity. I'm just wandering around the round table hold, just banging on doors. Let me in. Is DLC behind there? Let me in. Come on. Give it to me. It's all good, though. To me, this just means, like, they're not... The good thing I'm taking from this is, like, they're not getting pressured to rush it no matter what, which in the long term is going to be really good for us. I think we've seen what can happen when games come out that aren't ready because they're being pressured to by the publisher or whatever. And I think by now everybody who works kind of with these games is like, just take as much time as you need. Do what you need to do, make it the best game ever, and we'll be waiting for you. So, there's kind of a silver lining to it. But it sucks. It does. 3 years is a long time to wait, my man. That is a long time to wait. Alright. Well, we'll just hop on kind of where we left off. First trip to the round table hold, and I kind of wonder too. I have a few theories. One is that it's just so big that is like it's literally that big. That it just is taking this long. The other part of it is I think that, like, if we look at the in-game lore right now, we strip away kind of the things that we found. There's still a lot to be solved, and I think that leaving the base game as vague as it is, there's a lot of story still to be told, and I think telling that story in a meaningful way within a DLC is another, like, it's kind of like why George R.R. Martin is taking forever for his next book. It's like there's so many loose ends and like threads that are out there, that to pull them all together and stuff, it's yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think we do, right? Like, I think we have a really good understanding of it, but from an actual, like, in-game text, some sort of actual description of it, yeah, no. So, just wanted to talk quickly about the, yeah, they could wait 10 years. I agree. Yep. I agree. Ooh, J-Dub. You're new here, huh, my man? J-Dub, have you watched any of my lore videos or anything like that? Any of my past... Well, you said this is your first stream, but have you watched any of them not live? Wanted to talk quickly about, we speculated last time that this roundtable hold, it's clear that it's a oh, awesome. So I am completely subscribed to the concept of human psychology being the driving force of this game. So the subject of this human psychology would be America, and everything happening in game is actually happening within her psyche. And the Elden Ring is the physical representation of her psyche. So, and then Great Runes, when separated from that psyche, are individual traits or aspects or characteristics of said psyche that, when they're left alone, act as like this possessive, almost obsessive type of thing. But when they're all working in unison and in harmony as the Elden Ring, that's when it's true power, just like our psyche. Yeah, man, you should take. This is part 5, so if you go to part 1, part 2, and kind of just catch up at some point, it'll give you a much better understanding. And then watch my first lore video; it'll give you a really good understanding too. But anyways, when we first got here, we kind of speculated as to exactly what this the roundtable hold was. And I said that it probably resembled something akin to the subconscious. And I just wanted to give you the subconscious, the definition of it really quick. So it's part of the mind of which one is not fully aware, but which influences one's actions and feelings. So, and I think that that's exactly what's taking place here at the roundtable. I think it's a place where, yeah, man, please do. Let me know what you think. Write a comment, or join the Discord or whatever, and let me know what you think. I'm open to criticisms and thoughts and stuff like that. But yeah, it's clear that this is not exactly in the purview of kind of the Erdtree, aka America's conscious awareness. But the things that happen here have a big impact on her, on the lands between, and on the world outside of this area. So I think we nailed it with this being her subconscious, and housing things that she's not fully aware of, but the actions that take place here have a profound effect on her life. So, yeah. I think we've talked to everybody. Maybe I'll go talk to Gideon real quick. I think this is when he talks about...
You've received the wisdom of the two fingers, have you not?
I have.
And I bid you welcome as a true member of the Round Table. I am known as Gideon Ofnir. As a tarnished who wishes to stand before the Elden Ring and become Elden Lord, I am accumulating knowledge. To be all-knowing. You now belong to a select group of fellows. As such, I ask that you remain constant.
How's the stream look out there, guys? I had to drop it to 30 frames per second. I feel like it was pretty laggy last time. Hopefully it doesn't look too bad. I'm hoping that as I grow and stuff, I can upgrade some of this stuff, but I'm literally, I mean, I'm out here with like very basic shit, so.
You'll be after more great runes now, eh? Then as your fellow, allow me to divulge a little knowledge.
Please do.
The inheritors of the great runes, the Shard
Awesome.
Bearers.
Good.
We of the Round Table know the location of 5 of them, including the one you defeated. Godric the Crafted, Lord of Stormvale. General Radahn, who fought Melania and her rot to a standstill in the Caelid Wilds. Praetor Rykard, Lord of the Volcano Manor of Mount Gelmir. Morgoth the Grace-Given, Veiled Monarch and Lord of Leyndell. And Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, ruler of Rhea Lucaria's Academy. You'll still be after more great runes, won't you?
So last time we found the Mimic Veil. Ego progression or spiral dynamics? Ooh, that sounds interesting. That sounds really interesting. I'd love to hear about it, dude. I wonder if him saying that Morgoth is the Veiled Monarch, if Morgoth uses the veil, the Mimic Veil, to present himself as not Omen to the public. I know that we find it, but it's just a weird phrase that he would use that specific word.
The Academy of Rhea Lucaria lies to Limgrave's north, towering over the mist-laden lands of Liurnia. Renala is queen of the Carian royals, who govern the Academy. But Renala herself is no demigod. Her beloved Radagon left her to become Queen Marika's second husband, taking the title of King Consort. The Great Rune dwells within the amber egg that was Radagon's gift to her. Morgoth the Grace-Given is Lord of Leyndell, the capital city. It lies at the foot of the Erd Tree, in the east of the Altus Plateau. But the Two Fingers forbid us from venturing there, until we've acquired enough great runes to repair the Elden Ring. Set your sights elsewhere for the time being. The Veiled Monarch can wait.
Pretty much means how the self progresses and is categorized by colors, and I felt a lot of it matched up with Elden Ring. Spiral dynamics and what they symbolize. Interesting. I'll have to take a peek at that, dude. Do you have if you have something that you're reading, drop it in the chat, and let's see what you got. I'd be interested to, if you have some sort of paper or something that you're getting this from.
Even approaching the region is no mean feat. I've heard survivors of Radahn's army are still in the wilds, staving off the rot with fire. And if it's true, I suspect Radahn is still there as well, in Caelid. Though, I doubt he much resembles his former self anymore.
That's enough. Man. Some Wikipedia, it's semi-scientific on the self and its evolution. Interesting. Yeah. That's right up our alley. That'd be cool to listen to. I talked to her.
A pleasure to see you. Thank goodness I'm still looking for my... It's not easy by any means.
Alright. Yeah, one thing that we kind of stumbled upon is that we think that the story resembles is symbolic of ego death, and kind of the spiritual journey and self journey of individuation. There's literally there's several stages of ego death and kind of that process, and one of the stages is called the dark night of the soul. Okay. Yeah, let me know, because my quality is just shit. I don't know why. Sometimes it really struggles. I doubt I can change my settings in here. Yeah. So we kind of figured that what we're seeing in game is the process of ego death, and basically the process of individuation that folds out of ego death. And we one of the stages of the ego death process is called the dark night of the soul, and it's where you kind of confront all of the things that you thought were true. Like it's if something betrays you, or you have some sort of traumatic event in your life that kind of shakes you to your core, and you can no longer operate under the system that you've been believing in. Like, for example, if somebody is a devout Christian, and then their child, something bad happens to their child, and they have this kind of their faith kind of shakes and gets rattled, and they're what they once believed in, they no longer really believe in, and it reshapes how they think. But it's a very painful, kind of, yeah, kind of like ethics, self-value, all that kind of stuff. But in this dark night of the soul, you initiate ego death, and you kind of, and the way that it's talked about and the visuals that are given for it almost one-for-one match the Night of the Black Knives, where Godwyn gets killed. So that's kind of the road we're going down. We think Marika underwent some sort of traumatic event.
You could believe it or not, for us. Well, blame true
Come on.
is presuming you're only.
Oh, 1 second, dude. What is this area called? Church of the Earth. So, to me, it's pretty clear that Godwin represents Marika's ego. He is like everything that she holds most value is. It's kind of like her perfect child. He's Godwin the Golden. He is kind of like the pillar of everything that has gotten Marika to this point. So him being killed, and again, another big descriptor of ego death is you can't actually kill your ego. Like, so Godwin not actually being able to die a true death, and the ego never actually being able to die, like you just kind of you're able to break it down and re-assimilate it into a new, more healthy way of living. Yeah. So that's kind of the process we're going down. And then ego death, it takes a hold of your entire life, as we see with Deathroot being all over the lands between, all that kind of stuff. So it seems to fit really, really well.
Back to learn another. Why, of course. Apologies, friend. I'm afraid my meager sorceries are no match for your generosity. Oh, right. I can tell you what I know about this place. That should help a bit.
Sure.
You've seen that structure to the north, towering over the water. That's the Academy of Rhea Lucaria, where we study glintstone sorceries. Only its doors have been closed for quite some time now. After they declared they wouldn't interfere with the shattering, the Academy cast repelling seals on the east gate leading to the capital, and the south gate leading here. As you might have guessed, the seals are still active, making entry to the Academy impossible without a glintstone key. And so I'm stuck here. A fledgling sorcerer with little chance of acquiring a key. When they cast the seals, I'd just popped out. And now I'm uprooted from my place of learning.
Huh.
Why not find yourself a glintstone key? Without one, you can't pass through the Academy, and you'll never reach the Erdtree capital. And if you find an extra glintstone key, perhaps, once you've tied up all your loose ends, and I can be very patient, would you consider donating it to me? I know it. I'm a bluntstone. Nary a hint of talent for sorcery. But still, my place is at the Academy.
Sure. Should probably go talk to what's her name. Crap, where do you find her? I need to talk to Bach and to her. I think she's over here, right? Alright, let me go do that really quick.
You there? Could you help us out, Cully?
Which one is he? Where you at?
You? Yeah, you there?
Me?
Stop pretending you can't see me.
I don't remember which one you are. Oh God.
Why won't anyone look me in the eye? I'm not that ugly, am I?
Oh, is this it? There we go.
What'd you go and do that for?
Thanks, man. That means a lot, dude.
Oh, yes. I remember. Some clod turned me into a tree. You were just breaking the spell, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The name's Bok. I was pushed out of the cave. Told not to come back. Not ever. Then I ended up as a tree. Lucky you came along, really. Oh, what a shame. When they threw me out of the cave, they took everything I owned. And so this is all I have to express my thanks. I hope you can forgive me.
Mm-hmm.
Or, if you can afford to wait for a while, I could sneak back into the cave and bring back something of actual value. Then I'd be of some real use to you, I reckon. Right. I'm frightened of them. So I have to gather myself.
You got this.
My knees start knocking, just thinking about that god-awful cave on the shore.
Interesting little tidbit is that when talking about like ego death and spiritual awakening and all this type of stuff, a catalyst for that are psychedelics, and mushrooms are a big catalyst for that. Fungal growth throughout the damn thing is elsewhere. I wonder if if the toxic one has any sort of evidence to it. Alright, let me... Where is she? Is she there? Should also I'm gonna sit back down, go to night, and kill that guy. It's crazy how much the sky changes. Dang, you guys are crushing the... I know it doesn't seem like much, but 4 likes is, that's awesome for me. Appreciate you guys. Let's go, big dog. I've been doing some self-inquiry medication, but it's been super difficult. Yeah, I agree. Aristo, my man. Yeah, ego death is, it seems like something we should all, like, experience in life, but it sounds absolutely terrifying. I mean, to let go of everything you once thought you knew about yourself, and, like, now granted, it's usually, you know, triggered by some terrible thing that brought you to it, but still sounds, yeah, man, absolutely. I've been good. I've been good. How about you? How you been? How was your weekend? That's quite some reach on that. It's interesting. Everything else that's like spectral comes out of like a blue mist, and his horse comes out of like this black sludge, which Yeah, man, they're on the graveyard shift. I'd fight everybody too if I was constantly on that. I'd be pissed. What the hell are you looking at, dude? I don't got energy to fuck with this. I've worked a couple overnighters in like 24-hour shifts, and let me tell you, it is not fun. Where am I going? Use their horse in the trailer game, yeah. I'm going the opposite direction. Cool. Yeah. The funerary steeds, yeah. That's I guess I just kind of thought of them as they were riding horses, but it makes perfect sense that they'd be riding those horses. That's really cool. It's a great observation. I've been doing a lot of research on the Dark Night of the Soul, and they often, in like a way to depict this, because obviously this happens within a person's mind, is they say it's like you're wandering around a dark forest with nowhere to go, like you're just kind of this lost wandering soul trying to find their way. And I thought, specifically the video I was watching and like the imagery they were using, it looked incredibly similar to the Night of the Black Knives trailer and all that imaging, which again just like further points to kind of the testament that we're definitely on the right track. Gosh, like once you stumble across this, it's the things that you start to find, and like the way that the game starts to make sense is like, it's really freaking cool. Even if I'm dead wrong, like this is a really interesting way to view the world in the game, because it's all making really good sense. And like this one thought is kind of the blueprint that fits it all, right? Like not having to so I did watch that video, but like when it first came out. So I know that there's been some incredible work that he did on it. And I definitely think that there's a couple issues that I have with it, calling it like a quote-unquote theory, is that like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I definitely don't want to get his work mistaken or anybody's work, but like there's, and it almost goes back more to human psychology and kind of the collective consciousness and unconsciousness, but around the world, in every culture, like a medical symbol is red. And around the culture, and you know, or around the world in every culture, the more mystic kind of unknown things seem to be purple. And like, I struggle with the color thing because I feel like it's almost ingrained into our DNA as who we are as people, that like Elden Ring doing it.
Tarnished, are we?
I don't want to like hold
I am Selen,
it up on this pedestal of like it.
Why are you here?
If that, I don't know if that makes any sense.
A yen for
And
glintstone
to be honest, I think I listened to it once, and that was probably like a year ago or whatever.
Well, perhaps no
So I
shall
could be
decline it,
misremembering it.
with a bit of luck. But one must choose one's masters wisely. I was exiled from the Academy of Rea Lucaria as a reviled, apostate witch. Do you still wish to learn from me?
Yeah, I'm down with it. I don't care.
Well, you are a piece of work. Very well. You are now my protege in Glintstone.
You're right. No,
Sorcery.
it's definitely valuable and worth
Or cast kind
worth looking
words.
into.
Never.
Um,
Anticipate grievances, young apprentice.
yeah, I find it difficult to like hang my hat on for Elden Ring specifically, because I think if you go back through a lot of RPGs and a lot of games like that have different elements, you know, like health and stamina and magic and all these types of things. They're all the same color, and it's not. I don't think it's a theory as much as like we're kind of saying, like it's almost an unconscious embedded into our very being. But
Young apprentice. First things first.
yeah,
You are a tadpole when it comes to magic.
jeez.
Infantile. Without the legs to walk. So, to become a sorcerer, first, you must face your ignorance. Now, shall we start learning?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like they could just be using their favorite color. I like how she uses the phrase that we're a tadpole, still kind of in our infant stage of learning and developing, that we don't really have use of our legs yet and all this type of stuff, because I think that you could apply that phrase to a lot of different things that we see within the game. First thing that comes to mind is obviously the Albinarics. They seem to not be able to use their legs, which could mean that they are, you know, the very beginnings of kind of this artificial intelligence that human beings are starting to develop. I've also said that the Elden Beast often seems very infant, toddler-like in its approach, which to me seems like it's not quite fully developed. Still learning and growing. I'll be back, baby. Also, you're not real. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but Solovis got you. All right, bye. Adios. Okay. One thing that I definitely need help with is the different quest lines. I love this game, but I don't do a great job of I don't know all the different quest lines and how to like progress them and in them and all that kind of stuff. So if there's something you guys want to see that I'm not doing, just yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to start her thing. Aristo, are you a seller man? Or are you a oh god, poor Lou's daughter, Nefeli? Selling or Nefeli?
Back to learn another. Wonderful. You've taken an apprenticeship with Selen.
Yeah.
Well, that is something. Selen was well known. The most promising sorceress in the history of the Academy. I followed her at school. But there may as well have been an ocean between us. But Selen was expelled from the Academy, accused of unthinkable treatment of certain sorcerers, under the name of the Graven Witch. I still don't believe the accusations. The illustrious Selen would never do such things.
Man, I wish I could read that dialogue from him again. There's so much story in there. Like, so she's being accused of doing something to the other sorcerers at the school, and she's doing it under the guise of a different being? Or how do you guys take that? No, yeah, you're good, man. You're all good. Wow, you are strong. Apparently you don't stagger. Good night. So, Fops there was giving us a little history on Selen, and he made it sound like she was she's being accused of some sort of wrongdoing that she was doing to the other sorcerers at the school, and that she was doing it either under the guise of the Graven Witch or for a person named the Graven Witch. Oh, she's definitely killing people at the Academy. She seems so sweet, though. Go on. Go on, J-Dub. I don't really understand why, but for some reason, sort of research people, but what do people have to, for some sort of research, but what do people have to do with the stars? What do you mean by that? Man. Oh, like what? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good question. The further we go along our quest line, let's we'll keep that in mind as minus Catalyst for Sorcerer is definitely something.
You're new around here. Surprised you found me in my little nook. No matter, no matter. Your money's as good as anyone. I don't. Oh, but don't ask.
Let me see. I have 15. Am I at the max there? Staff of Astrologer is a glintstone, is embedded at the tip, enabling it to be used. Blah, blah, blah. Sorceries must be memorized first at the site of grace, and a staff. Okay, that doesn't give us jack shit. But the robe might. They read fate in the stars and are said to be heirs of the glintstone sorcery, but alas, the nice guy no longer cradles fate. You're making just as much sense as I make, my man. This game is meant to be ambiguous, and we're just kind of here to do our best at putting it together. All right. We'll go get mate. Oh, come on now. Okay, guess we'll just... Oh, good God. Okay. Dude, what in the hell? Grave Violet. Alright, let's read this. The majority of Liurnia, known for its vast forests and ever-present fog, is sinking into a lake. The eastern coast is home to a high road running north to south. Yeah. And they give you Grave Violet, which is... I thought that it was here. No? Yeah. Purple flower that blooms in graveyards. The hue of ghost flame is believed to be used in calling forth spirits. Young plant crystallized before it could mature. Let me read that one more time. Widely found in Liurnia Lake. So, we've talked about how we believe that America's trigger for all this was a miscarriage, based off of, you know, the Harpies and the Weeping Peninsula and all the evidence that we find there and things like that. And I wonder, since I've never paid attention to the fact that crystal blood said that it's mostly found in this lake, and this lake being home to Renala, and knowing kind of what she's going through, and her great rune that she's holding on to, the rune of the unborn. I always thought that the crystal bud was supposed to resemble Mikola, but I wonder if instead it actually is talking about that unborn child of Marika's, the miscarriage. Since the Lake of Rot is here, and that seems to resemble some sort of depression-like status. Interesting. So that's some dots that we've connected in the live streams that kind of led up to this one. So like I was saying, as far as the night of, or the dark night of the soul, in this process of individuation and being kind of spiritual awakeness and being reborn, all this stuff. It would seem that there was some tragic event that happened in Marika that shook her to her core and had her completely change her kind of what she put faith into. Oh God. Yeah. So that's there's a couple things with that. So my original assumption was that she had some sort of tragic thing happen in her past as a child that made her hate death, which is why she plucked out the rune of death, which could still very well be the case. What's up? Yes, you did, my man. What's up? And then she found this order under the possession, basically, of the greater will that cut out all death, and that was Marika's faith and what she believed in and how she based all of her actions on. And then it seems like at some point in her life, she had an encounter with... Oh, I thought... Okay. With this thing that she so desperately tried to get rid of, being death. And it seems that because the Harpies in the Weeping Peninsula, when they're singing about basically miscarriage, that their children weren't born or were born dead, and why the golden god is mad at them, and then you have the Castle Mourn, which obviously mourning is it's basically grief. And it's always raining there, and all of this different kind of contextual clues that would make you think that it was in fact a miscarriage that kind of drove Marika to initiating the ego death process and all this kind of stuff. And that traumatic event seems, as best that we can kind of put together, seems to be, yeah, like a stillbirth or a miscarriage or something like that. And basically this made her question everything that she ever thought she knew, rightfully so. And she did. Yeah, it's called the help me out, chat. Song of Lament. If you just do a quick Google search on it, it's pretty telling. But this rock of faith and stuff like that caused the events to take place that happened before we got into game, shattering and all this kind of stuff. And we seem to be this aspect of America that has the ability to interact with both the physical world as well as her more psychic world. And that's just kind of like this crystal bud, as far as like it's basically formed before it could fully develop, or it's like it's I forget exactly the words that they use, but it basically dies before it's fully developed is synonymous to, like, yeah, a stillbirth or a miscarriage or something like that. And again, with the text saying that it's mostly found in these lakes in Liurnia, I think it's probably right. I guess I'll just keep going this way for now. I forget, do I need to go talk to Nefeli one more time before I go to the village of the Albinarics to do her quest? Ugh. Yeah. Yeah. And are you saying that's Godwin, Cranky? Or are you saying that's like the... Just made me click. Wild Theory Selen talks about being children of the stars. Maybe she means that literally. Her essence is literally glintstone that allows her to go from body to body, maybe? Yeah. Stars controlling fate could represent her parents. Interesting. J-Dub, I would have to like dig into that one a little bit more. There's a lot there and very little text. But that's kind of why I like doing these kind of like walkthrough live stream type things, is because like we can, once we get there, like shit, we'll just fucking talk about it and see what makes sense. Ow. What a terrible... Yep. I definitely agree with your claim there about the stars being outside America, and them representing fate, and like you might be able to stall it or slow it down, but no matter what, it's still going to come around. I would say one thing to keep in mind as you're thinking about theories like that is the one undeniable truth of this game, and true of like Japanese culture, is this concept of like wholeness and not being like one-sided, and what that one-sidedness, how that can impact your life in a very negative way. That's what, like, anytime, that's kind of like where I start with my theory building of this game. And anytime that there's somebody that seems to be like incredibly one-sided or one-track mind, or obsessed with a certain thing, their end game seems to be terrible. Unless they do something to kind of reunite those opposing things in their mind. Oh yeah, Cranky? About this game, or just about like real life? Right into that. I need to level up my freaking weapon. His mindset, yeah. mean, that's been a theme of Miyazaki's since shit. I mean, at least Demon Souls. Make the Elden Ring lore fit into yeah. And that's kind of there's kind of a the little that I know about the kind of endpoint that Selen ends up in, being as part of that that mass of other sorcerers, and that she's kind of like her voice kind of gets lost in it, is the kind of the concept of an echo chamber, that you become so consumed and enthralled by one thought or one kind of aspect of life, and you are naturally drawn to others who think like you do, and your mind is never challenged, and all of this different type of stuff, and you end up just kind of being this, you collectively in that group just kind of end up being this blob of echoes, with no real original thought. Oh, the poor fellow gone manly. Love, revenge. The frenzied flame melts it all away. Interesting. Yeah, not good. And you can see that, like, in American politics is like a perfect example. They're so consumed by what they want to be true that, like, real life facts and, you know, public discourse and all this type of shit just goes straight out the window. And it's I have no health. That's great. I'm sure that did, Cranky, but remind me of it. Oh, maybe I don't think that I did. Edgar the Revenger. It's funny that ghost just said that the frenzy flame will, like, wipe all this. It takes it all away. So it's like, no wonder he's kind of coveting it now. How the well. Oh, you bastard. Don't get greedy. Oh my god. Two and three fingers being something that you can compare to American politics. Interesting. Shibiri Grape, Banished Knights, Halberd. This dude's gone completely crazy. Gone mad. It was regarding that 2 and 3 finger thing being part of some. Yeah, so I think at one point it was definitely kind combined. Like probably in that's either the one great, or that's, you know, kind of like the symbol of the crucible or whatever, when things weren't, you know, divided and fractured and split up. I think that the 2 and 3 fingers were definitely part of one hand. But Edgar's kind of like a good example of kind of what we're seeing as far as America. Like, let's just say, for example, that we would have only met, but have different approaches to it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and not only that, but they're then mortal enemies of one another. Even though that they are seeing the same things and like seeing the same problem. Yeah. So let's just say, for example, we would have met Edgar there for the first time. And we didn't know his backstory. I feel like that's kind of what we were thrust into at the beginning of the game. And our job as the player character is to put it together for it to make sense. Like, knowing that he did all this because of the death of a child, and it's driving him mad to start consuming human flesh, and he has the moniker of Revenger, and he now is clearly at least somewhat possessed by the 3 fingers and, you know, this idea of chaos. It's very similar to the situation that we're walking into in the game, except we don't know the backstory. So this theme of losing a child is permeated throughout a whole host of different examples in the Lands Between and in the game. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. So again, it's just another clue as to why exactly America is embarking on this journey. Yeah, that's one and the same. I mean, if it's her, right? Like, it's her, but not her. It has something to do with breaking a person's mind with too much knowledge. It's definitely possible. When Lusat glimpsed into the primeval current, he beheld the final moments of a great star cluster, and upon seeing it, he too was broken. I just had a kind of a weird thought, but I wonder if what Lusat saw was that cluster of that Selen ends up in. And like he saw the fate of kind of that journey of studying that stuff. That would be interesting. Because or else that doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense. Because like if he's a sorcerer or if he's like a astrologer or whatever, him witnessing, you know, the final moments of a star or whatever, like that's kind of what they do. So yeah, it would be yeah. I wanted to change that. What is that? Did I not level this up at all? Jesus. Did I really not level that up? Oh my god, what an asshole. Okay. To the round table hold we go. My god. Yeah, sounds good, man. I try and stream almost every day if possible, but yeah, make sure you go back and check out the other ones. It'll give you a good understanding of what the frick I'm talking about.
Now, look at you. Those eyes tell a story of a challenger who's felled his mark. Fine and well. Now lay out your arms.
Frick.
The girly boy here. She's crestfallen and can scarcely swing a blade. But she has a gift for spirit tuning. I saw another one like her long ago. Their eyes share the same hue.
Hmm. Three Moon Sister concept. She's even part of it. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to, as we're going, we'll have to check it out. I'm sure that there's something there. Selen has too big of a role to...
A pleasure to thank goodness. I'm still looking. It's not easy, but you're telling me I possess some kind of gift?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you. But if I do have this talent, and goodness knows it would be my first, I suppose I should try to hone it, shouldn't I? I'll ask Master Hugh to teach me. Certainly he does appear intimidating and holds no love for us tarnished. But I know he's trapped here at the Round Table Hold, so I can tell. He's a gentle soul underneath it all. If I do have a talent for spirit tuning, and goodness knows that would be a surprise, I suppose I should try to hone it, shouldn't I? I'll ask Master Hugh.
Norse mythology story where three moon sisters are simply one being. Yeah, that seems to be a common theme in this game for sure. Knowledge of puppetry. She seems to be the one that would have arranged the meeting between Solovis and Ronnie. Yeah.
Back already. No matter. Lay out your arms. The girl. What about her?
Old crippled dude's name is? Oh.
Are you out of your mind? You'd stay with an ugly brute who only knows how to smith. Absurd. Besides, she'd never agree to it.
You know, I know there's been a lot of comparison between, like, Ronnie and Rodrika, but I've never made the comparison between E.G. and Hugh. Yeah, I forget what his name is too. I forget.
I refuse to believe it. I don't doubt you, but I know when something's too good to be true.
Do you think there's anything to that, Cranky? Rodrika and Hugh kind of, oh, you're onto something where I actually get most of my info. What's that?
If I have a talent for spirit tuning, I suppose I'll ask Master Hugh.
Tell a story multiple times. Yeah. Through different characters. Yep. I totally agree.
Have mercy and grant me forgiveness. The road is yet long, and God is not easily felled. But one day without fail you will have your wish. So please grant me forgiveness, Queen Marika.
Man.
You, is it? I didn't notice you there. I'll be doing my job, same as ever. Just lay out your arms. Those words were not meant for you. I may be prisoner to you, tarnished lot, but my prayers are mine, and mine alone. Well, I've had my say. I'll be more careful too. I spoke with the girl. She has a gift for spirit tuning. So I told her everything I know. I'm indebted to a spirit tuner I met long ago. It was all I could do to honor her. I'm sorry I doubted you.
For example, how many people get stuck on their kind of Radagon concept, but they're seeing how Melna is able to birth children on her own. Yeah. Follow Millicent and her story to become different than what people are expecting of her. Her sisters keep following the same path, but she's trying to change. Yep. Yeah, I've often kind of been banging my head with people about like the kind of thing that comes to my mind is Godfrey and Siraj. We know that like shadows and all this type of stuff to hold back, you know, kind of the more sinister beast-like versions of people is a common theme, and people really struggle with like, for some reason, applying that to Godfrey and Siraj. They're very adamant that Siraj is not his shadow and is not acting in that part, and you know, he has his own backstory and all this type of stuff, which is, you know, it's true, but like it's still a game and a story that's being told. So if Siraj just popped out of nowhere, it would, you know, it would be really puzzling and it wouldn't make any sense. Like there.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
And like these guys share the same soul, and like also like it's weird that the lines that some people will draw. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's unhinged. I would say that it's just unkingly. And like his new role in this world is to act as a king. So he needs a vessel. He needs a vessel to store that unhinged side of himself in order for society to accept his role. And that theme is present throughout the entire game, everywhere. Yeah, I've always wondered that too. Like, because to me, like, each character, if you're looking at them as individual characters, one is the king of the beast, and one is probably the most powerful physically person that we come across. And to me, like, both of them, I can't imagine a world where they'd agree to, like, help one another or work with one another. Like, if they're warriors to the very end, they're gonna die fighting each other. Especially warriors of their caliber. Yeah. Ouch. And, like, Sirash is clearly like a aberration. Like, if it was a real life thing, I would see it as, like, you know, them walking by side, and he would have a physical body, and, like, so, I don't know. Do it. Yeah. Besides Ronnie being the rebel archetype within America's psyche, I too have a difficult time kind of placing her. She to me, she clearly fits the rebel archetype because, like, the rebel, they don't necessarily want to change the current order. Like, they want to just strip it away completely. Like, they just want to walk away from it and start their own thing. And they are constantly fighting against the current authority. The cheap way out. What do you mean by that? Another like? Hell yeah, guys. Appreciate you. Well, seems like we're on the same wavelength, but I might be a bit more drastic again. That's cool, man. Just offing herself. Yeah. So I think that actually has a story element to it. I think it seems like, because later on when we go down to the Eternal City and we find that that blade that can kill the two fingers. It's born of a corpse. And the more that I think about it, the more that it seems like there has to be some sort of like sacrifice. Like that's how you make that sword. So her killing herself seems that she knew about this, and she knew what she had to do in order to make that happen, and she had to kill her physical body basically to do it. Like America, I mean, in the mindset of somebody who struggles to accept with what's going on. Being the worst ending that people pick is somewhat of a dream scenario. Yeah. Yeah, I think that the true ending is yet to come. And I think Ronnie is her ending is certainly just to end up as bad as the current world that we're in now, because she too is so one-sided. She also sacrifices. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Her quote unquote sacrifice doesn't seem to be very. It seems to be a very selfish endeavor. She's more trying to like stick it to somebody and like prove a point, I think, than she is actually trying to do good. Albinaric blood clot, interesting. So, with the idea of Melina being the guide for a chance of rebirth, Ronnie is doing the opposite. Right. Yeah, Ronnie is just destroying... Not really destroying, she's just completely abandoning everything. I would say the Frenzied Flame is more of a complete kind of desolation of everything. And Ronnie's just seems to be complete escapism, both of which are not a healthy alternative to... Like, they're both ways to deal with something, right? Like, a lot of people run away from something. A lot of people just destroy whatever is causing them problems. Both are not legitimate, long-lasting solutions to anything. And undoubtedly it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Yeah. Interesting that you, I always kind of thought that the Frenzy Flame ending was more akin to suicide, but I think you're probably right, because Ronnie's is like you're kind of walking into this void of eternal nothingness, and the chaos ending seems to be more of like a reset button. Which, like, honestly isn't the... Yeah, the chaos ending, although it's kind of thematically and artistically meant to visualize kind of a negative ending, I don't think it's negative at all. I think it's just a massive reset. Yeah. Yeah, I think because we're still just the third stage of the Animus and not like the final partner of America, that no ending that we pick is going to be the actual fix to anything. God dang it. Oh, what the? I didn't know that could happen. What about the thing in there? Oh, that's some bullshit. Something aren't as impactful as people expect, which is true. Nothing really changes. You just change a few things up. The core remains. Yeah. I think it hits the reset button in a much smaller way. Like the chaos ending seems to be this massive reset where it's like you go back to the one great, the Crucible, and you basically reset the entire timeline, where it seems like the other endings, the Mending Runes, are more of like a you reset from like the Golden Order timeline. Everything else seems to kind of remain. And it seems like, you know, you're putting a band-aid on the issue. Yeah. Or even just a switch from drugs to gambling or alcohol to opioids or something, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems to be a different catalyst. Oh, he does have the same... Huh. Interesting. I think that is the same anvil that Hugh uses. Often when I'm looking at these things, I look at how even they are, or how balanced they are in their illustrations. And like anytime I see, for example, like this seems to be totally skewed for one side, seems to be a very important clue of what the story of, or the arc of like this story is, and if it's kind of worth doing or not, in America's point of view.
Well, look at you. We don't receive many visitors. I presume you are tarnished?
Man, that is a cool
What
picture
brings
though,
you
fuck.
here? Oh, pardon me. It's hardly my place to ask, is it? I am E.G., a blacksmith who once served the Carian royals. An old codger who refuses to retire his rusty hammer. So here I am, still quietly plying my trade on this spot. Perhaps you'd like a display? These bones are old, but still able.
Unique characteristics not be shard of smithy stone drained of color. Oh.
Oh, watch out there.
Oop.
When I'm absorbed in my smithing, I lose sight of all else. If you come too close, I'm apt to cause you harm. I am, after all, terribly large compared to you, Tarnished.
Indeed.
You don't know how hard it is not to break anything while I work. Brave Tarnished. A word of warning, if you please. This territory once belonged to the Carian royal family. Their manor lies not far beyond this point. When the Raya Lucaria Academy turned on the Carians, the Knights of the Cuckoo descended on this tract. After leveling it, they carried on to the manor. The Carians were taken off guard, but their strength had not waned, and they repelled the Knights' onslaught by conjuring an enchanted snare that remains potent to this day. That is why I say, Tarnished, don't go near the manor, unless you wish to lie with the corpses of the heedless Knights of the Cuckoo.
Not really.
Blythe actually did that, did he? Quite a rare occurrence for such a guarded soul as he. Perhaps he sensed something unusual about you. At any rate, if you're friendly with Blythe, I've something else that might suit you. I've explained the peril of the enchanted snare that remains at the Royal Carian Manor. Whatever you do, brave Tarnished, stay away from that death trap.
Yeah, this is you talking about, people kind of three people in one, and they're all resembling different aspects of that person. One that Carl Jung kind of, and psychology kind of breaks it up into the ego, the shadow, and the self. And the self is like this very wise, kind of all-knowing character, and that's what EG would represent in their kind of triad of personalities. Just a wise kind of spirit guide that helps along your way. To assume he's trapped, but he's there on his own reason. To help. Yeah. Can I go up there? I don't think so. Did I? Maybe I did. Malefactors? What the fuck does that mean? Person who commits a crime or something wrong. Ho! Woo! You hit hard, dude. Oh yeah? What about Bernal? He's one of my favorites. Flame of the Fell God. Legendary incantation, one of several that draws directly from the power of the fire giants. Releases a ball of raging fire said to be inhabited by a fell god. Fireball floats toward the enemy and explodes, setting the area ablaze. Arganthi, the chief guardian of the flame, had kept this incantation a well-kept secret until it was stolen by a dawn. The fell god still lurks within the fire giants. So Bernal is what we are to Ronnie, but he's it for Rykard. Felt the person got some. Bernal is what we are to Ronnie, but he is for Rykard. What do you mean by that, my man? See a man who's wondering if you know what you're doing. He hates we're buddies, yeah. Moments later, he attacks us in Fair Missoula. Yeah. Bernal. Rykard and Ronnie, their whole Alex attacks, yeah. Stillwater Cave. Yeah, I would agree with that. Fireman died and he couldn't handle it. Yeah. Ow, come on now. I mean, I wonder why he's at the beginning in Stormville to begin with. So the fight that we have him in Fair Missoula, I'm thinking that's him going for Malekith to kill himself. Yeah. Yeah, to me, when we're cooperating, it seems that he's not doing it because we're friends, but we both seem to share a mutual result that we're both trying to get to, and our cooperation for each other seems to be the best way to go about that, to get those. Oh, come on. That is not good. Might as well just kill me. Yeah. But if his Fire Maiden, like, I wonder why the Fire Maiden is such a hot topic, because we don't need our Fire Maiden once we get to Fair Missoula. So if Bernal made it there, her sacrificing herself, though it would only be an emotional reaction that would stop him, right? Like, that's kind of their purpose. Might have done it in the wrong order, maybe. I mean, maybe, yeah. It's possible. I mean, I kind of doubt that. Because it seems like there's only... It's like... The beginning is very open world, but like once... There seems to only be one path. If he did it in the wrong order, that could explain that one. There seems to only be one path to getting to Fair Missoula, and that's you have to get to the Flame of the Giants. I'd be a little more like, yeah. Yeah, I think Melina is... I think it every time there seems to be a new Elden Lord, she is the person that has to sacrifice. I would buy the whole, like, maybe they did it in the wrong order if we had any sort of, like, even if it was like a little tiny clue about doing things in the right order. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I like... So in Melina's case, death was around, so she returns. So to me, Melina represents America's self, capital S, like the culmination and totality of all the different aspects of America. So every time that America gets a new Elden Lord, aka a new stage of the Animus, it's herself that is bringing that person on that journey. So anybody that doesn't have Melina as a fire maiden is not fit or destined to become yeah exactly. And that's why this marks Melania's southward march. The blade of Mikola and her clean-wrought knights grant her wings never to be clipped. That's why when you finally do release Destined Death, aka the Glowmite Queen, she's able to open that eye and become that part of herself, I guess. Like she's really reassimilated that part of her psyche. Yeah. The puppets besiege us. So I think we can yeah, they'll just give it time. Give it time, dude. They'll come around. I'm having more and more of these conversations with people, which is awesome. When I first, I put my lore video out, God, I don't know, 10 months ago or something like that, almost a year ago. Although people really liked it, like it definitely wasn't something that was talked about. And now more and more people are talking about it. Just give it time. The puppets besiege us. He's almost certainly talking about like dang. What's their biggest sticking point? Yeah. You're overthinking it. Well, to me, that just they just don't know. I would say they're unfamiliar with Miyazaki's work and with George R.R. Martin's work. To be honest, like, have they seen Game of Thrones? If you don't go deep with those two at the helm, like, you're not even close to being in their world that they created. You're skimming the surface if you're not going deep. You're on drugs. Those are some good drugs, dude. Like, George R.R. like literally has like 3,000 years worth of made up history in his brain at all times. Like, he has lineages of houses that like are talked about for 2 paragraphs in his 800-page story. So don't give me this bullshit of you're going too deep. You're not going deep enough. Ah, fuck. Try this again. And like, goes from somebody who questions the world and then becomes the end boss. Yeah. Can you believe that? America, subject, and Maradigon is actually two separate entities that were once one. Unfortunately, I think the debate on that is pretty well over by what Miyazaki said in an interview about that very thing. He made it clear that they're the same. They're one and the same, always and always have been. I forget exactly which. It's like an exclusive interview that they did with him about the game. Which, like, I think is good because, fuck, like that, people were not able to get past that. But I'm curious to know why. Is that what the story says? Is that what Miyazaki says? I'm actually wondering because I only read, or I'm only regurgitating what I heard. I didn't actually read the story for myself. I think unless Miyazaki said that, based off of what he said in that interview, like, it seems like a pretty done deal that they were always one being. Yeah, I'd love to hear why you are thinking what you're thinking. Let's talk through it. Knocks me around. Helm fashioned from crystal looking glass, one among the Eternal City's ritual implements, easily broken and weak against striking. Worn by those committed to high treason, it wards off the intervention of the greater will and its vassal fingers. America's born of the human race, which makes kind of a mortal starting out. So Jake, do you remember? I think you were here for the live stream that was we talked about the Vitruvian Man, and how America and Radagon make up that Vitruvian Man. One being like the spirit and more of like the divine feminine, more thought-provoking things. And yeah, Radagon being more of like the physical order, logos. So Newman, its definition is like a spirit or a soul. So I think her being born of quote-unquote a Newman race literally means that she is the spirit or the soul to Radagon's more physical masculine side. If that makes sense. People maybe not like we know, but a split somehow. I mean, it definitely could be. Again, the only reason I'm even hesitant about it is just because of what Miyazaki said. If it came from any other source, I'd be like, it's not worth shit. You can't take it at face value. But if Miyazaki himself is saying it, so much lore about Radagon separate from America. Yeah. And this is the jumping off point for a lot of people. Because it's really, really, really hard to it's hard for people to kind of accept that all of these different, let's just forget the game and let's just bring it back completely to human psychology, IRL. All of these different aspects of us live within our actual person. They collectively make up who we are and who we identify as. But in order for that to come to life in a fiction story, these characters have to have lives of their own. Like, that's the only way to tell a story like this. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, they're all America. It's the different aspects of America that make her psyche whole. Now, let me catch up here for a second. I feel this is the tricky part where I get called nuts again. Yeah, I feel you. You know there can be a split due to to the Glow My Queen, but we don't see a physical Glow My Queen. Do you believe that it had something to do with America getting stabbed by Destined Death, which I still believe results in Melina being born through the rune of the undead, the Amber Egg, and Radagon? It's all just America, so they are the same person, but like your anima animus gets split because that is what the greater will wants. I do think so. You're also saying the anima represents empathy, if that makes sense. So these aspects are always separate from one another. This is going to be hard to explain, but they're individual aspects of your psyche that they all need to be working in unison and assimilated into your psyche as a whole for yourself, capital S, to be actualized. So yes, your anima and animus can unite and become what's called the syzygy, which is called the divine couple. Even when they're united and they're kind of re-assimilated back into your psyche, they're still separate concepts, and they serve separate functions, which is why, like, so the animus is often called the animating part of a woman. So it's like the driving force that makes her act. What's up? How's it going, Fourth Terror? That makes her act. So when you're in the boss fight, you see Marika, right? But her animus is still present. It's just not being called to act. So when that call to act is there, even though that they are assimilated in one, they are still they're still separate from one another. And that's Jiminy Christmas. These fuckers are... Oh, this is not good. Yeah, they're bastards. And they make you bleed so quick. It's crazy. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm back at the beginning. Great job, Jake. And to kind of bring that point home about them having backstories which make it really confusing, since they're separate they're separate things of one unified psyche, and they kind of all have their own purpose. They're all going to have their own backstories. But that doesn't mean that they are separate from America. And I think that this is one of those things that is really hard to get past. And unless you have a more thorough understanding of what's the story that's being told, it's very hard. Like the very fundamental basics of what makes a shadow, in like Jungian terms, is what you would suppress in order for both yourself and society to accept you and what you're trying to project. And so if you look at Surash and oh fuck me, a lot of people don't accept Surash being that is some bullshit, as being the psychological shadow of Godfrey, because he has such a, I don't want to say rich, because I think that's a little bit over exaggerated, but he has a well-known backstory. So even though that his existence is literally to suppress that more bloodthirsty rage in Horaloo, so he can become more kingly and be accepted and seen as a king, literally like textbook shadow. People reject it because of he has a separate backstory, and that's kind of like, it's tough. I see what you're saying. The only reason I was thinking that is that the Glowmite Queen is tucked away, so we think a split can happen, but we can interact with most parts of Jung's concepts. And if Marika shattered the Golden Order, she delivered the Great Runes to her happy family. When did the Greater Will decide to call Marika Animus and get her animal under control? Well, so Cranky, she's going through her own development. So kind of we talked about the stages of the Animus. So like I don't need to fuck with you. So it's not necessarily the Greater Will that's bringing her stages of the Animus to her, because she's growing and developing. It's kind of happening organically. Yeah. Which another part of that concept? We can interact with all the parts. Oh. Gotcha. I think I'm finally with you there. Fuck it, I'll just go. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Thought for sure that would stagger you. Oh, fucker. You're all good, dude. Yeah. Cranky said, because you can interact with them, it's so you're Cranky. You're saying because you can interact with them, it's easy to see them as separate. How many kids do you have, good sir? I just have one. I have one 2.5-year-old son who is just a ball of energy and love. My wife has him right now, thank God. Yeah, he honestly kind of already is. He's he runs everywhere. He's just a lot of fun, but a lot of work. How'd that happen? Oh. We can interact with Radagon even if one to another. I feel like they still act as two different characters. Yeah, I always found it interesting that like she knew far before Radagon getting to the capital that she was gonna shatter the Elden Ring. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah, that she can interact with it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think if like if you look throughout your day and you just count how many times you talk to yourself, and you know, it could be something as simple as like, oh, I forgot to do that, or yeah, a thought of like, why the fuck did I just do that, or anything like that. Those thoughts, you know, if your inner world was a game of fiction, those thoughts would have to be expressed one way, right? And even though you're talking to yourself, it's like a kind of a different. It's just internal dialogue being kind of brought to life in a more digestible way, I guess. Alright, let's read that. Let's read this. Left half of a split medallion depicting the Erd tree. Brandishing the medallions with both halves conjoined will activate the Grand Lepidectus, connecting the Altus Plateau to Liurnia. The right half is said to reside in Fort Feroth, in the Dragon Burrow far to the east. I should just go snag that. Alright. Fire monks. Prayer book of fire monks who came from the mountaintops of the giants far to the north can be given to learn. Dragon Cult Prayer Book of the capital's ancient Dragon Cult, a text of knights' faith that arose after the War of Ancient Dragons, can be given to a learned cleric to gain access. Assassins. Prayer Book of the Round Table holds assassins. So, would assassins be unique to the Round Table then? Probably get some clarification on that when we actually learn the spells or incantations, but one second. Sorry about that. Actually, I think that would be kind of a fitting kind of like assassins being associated with the Round Table hold would be kind of apt, because assassins are like these mysterious, unknown sorts of characters that you don't really expect and you don't really know anything about, but their effects are massive on the world, which is very analogous to the subconscious mind. I don't even know what I'm doing, where I'm going. I need to go. Alright, let's just go here. Actually, yeah, let's go here. Worst enemy in the game is right there. Wraith calling down. No? Oh. Bell used by worshippers of revenants. Ring bell use FP. Wraiths are said to be the vengeful spirits of those who died when cursed. During the age of the Erd Tree, Kyrian astrology withered on the vine. The fate once writ in the night skies had been fettered by the Golden Order. Assassin's just being doubt that gets influenced by your own emotions. Yeah, it definitely could be. That's kind of a interesting way to... It's like God win, kill him off, since there's no such idea of the perfect poster boy. I'm not sure I follow that one.
It's been a long while. It's me, Patches the Untethered. I'm still in business, if you can believe it. Now I'm my only supplier, so I haven't got much. But everything here is top notch. Patches Emporium, now open in Raya Lucaria.
Fetish bathed in golden magic shackles were used to bind the accursed people called the Omen, and these ones were made to keep a particular omen under strictest confinement. Though faint, the shackles still retain vestiges of power, enough to trap the once bound Margit on Earth, if only for a short time. I mean, that's fucked up.
By the way, have you met that girl, Raya? She's a strange one, but I believe she was in need of help. Not that it's any of my business, but if she rings your bell, why not lend her an ear?
Okay.
You're making your way to the Erd Tree, no? Well, I heard something that might help. A special means of reaching your destination. Have you ever seen an Iron Virgin? The clunky contraptions are whirlwinds of
I see what you're saying.
spiked wheels. But long ago, they were endowed with a spell of transposition. And get this, a surviving virgin sits at the bottom of the big water wheel in the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Its transpositional powers fully intact. So right, if you get caught in it on purpose, it'll chuck you out straight at the base of the Erd Tree. Or so I'm told. Oh yeah, there's a savant.
Liar.
For that?
Cranky, that's a cool idea, but the way that I view it is that the Godwin happens long before the kind of supposed miscarriage.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Please. Over here. Hello. It's rather chilly here, isn't it?
Yeah, for a
Mistress sent me off
lava
on
snake.
errand, but I was accosted by a ruffian. And now I'm in a bind. Could I ask you lend a hand? Perhaps. That thug made off with a precious necklace. I need someone to retrieve it. Only, he too is tarnished. If you've any qualms confronting your own, I shall find...
Yeah. Yep, I think that
Oh,
I think that
you dearly. What a blessing that we've met like this. The thug should be resting at an
Godwin
abandoned
representing
home down the way.
America's ego,
Please, I must have the
you
necklace
wouldn't
back.
initiate something like ego death until you've had your traumatic experience, which I believe to be her miscarriage. Which would mean that the ego, aka Godwin, would be established well before this miscarriage and would represent everything that she once thought true of the world. And then her miscarriage would shatter her faith and all this type of stuff. You fuckers, dude. Bob and weave. Bob and weave. Whole thing of Godwin is dead, but not truly gone. In the rooms of DLC is that we're on a journey to bring him back. So that kind of fits the theme of ego death, because you can't actually ever like actually kill your ego. And I think that just, again, thematically, and as an illustration of that, Godwin can't actually be dead. And it could be that after America's finally done with this kind of process of individuation and she's fully developed and kind of her own unique self, that then at that moment she's able to regrow her ego in a totally different image, which could definitely be the DLC for sure. Academy of Rea Lucaria towers over the north, while at its base spreads the town built around it, now flooded. 2 high roads and their journeys there. At Patches. So is he here? Where is that guy? Is it here? What do you think, Cranky? Be interested to hear your thoughts.
What are you looking at? You trying to start something, mate? Ah, that necklace what you're after, is it? Well, show me what it's worth to you, and I'll consider parting ways with it. I'm not in love with it or nothing.
The timeline in my head doesn't quite fit then, so if he is the ego and Fair Missoula is the memory of the tragic event. So I think that there's, I'm either wrong about the tragic event in Fair Missoula. I kind of have two kind of competing theories. One is that the Golden Order represents Christianity, and death being plucked out of that is like, Carl Jung had issues with Christianity because Christianity never had a shadow side to it. It was like perfect, which doesn't exist. So, like, there wasn't even death in Christianity, if that makes sense. And so it could literally just be the symbol of modern day Christianity, or any Christianity, representing the Golden Order. And that's what that is, and that's why America plucked the Great Rune, or plucked the Rune of Death, which mean that there wouldn't be a tragic event at Fair Missoula. It's just that Fair Missoula is just a memory of like either America's childhood or the collective human race's kind of beginnings, if that makes sense. Or there was another. Oh, really? Or there was another, like her father passed or something when she was young, which prompted her to, when she got to power, to take out the rune of death so that we shouldn't have to experience it again. And like, although you get into the merits of a fetus is alive or not before, her experiencing the miscarriage would then prompt her to turn her back on the Golden Order and then start this ego death process. So I think the timeline still works. It's just whether or not it's the motives behind plucking death out of the equation is kind of the question mark. Yeah. Yeah, Catholic probably is my guess. Yeah. Yeah. It's a
You're a shrewd one, Chief. First,
it seems more of like a sales pitch than
don't try nothing.
anything. Oops, hold up. But yeah, Jung had issues with Christianity and believed it was actually like a inward journey and not like a real life person and stuff like that. And then he did not like the fact that Jesus and Christianity didn't have a counter shadow side, kind of like Jesus was a perfect person, which doesn't exist. Yeah, religion was definitely not.
All right.
I have my own qualms with it.
Don't come crying to me later.
I'm definitely not religious, but yeah. It's it's a big part of American culture. Oh, you're good, dude. I'm very happy with tangents. I think that's I think honestly that's where a lot of mysteries get uncovered. Oh, well. I should go back and do the other ones too. Wow, that was a straight up ass kicking. Damn. So does that, but the timeline, Cranky, does that make sense? Like, ego development is something that happens when we're way, way, way young. It's what you see in Fair Missoula, that kind of the modern Elden Ring depiction coming out of the more Crucible era one, is like the ego coming out of the unconsciousness.
The thug should be resting at an abandoned home. Please. Oh yes, thank you kindly. Did I forget to announce? I am right. I seek stalwart tarnished. You are very brave yourself. Not only a steady hand, but a steady heart. Merciless, even to your own kind. Such strength is precisely what my mistress seeks. Please, take this. Brave Tarnished. Seek the Altus Plateau, the realm of the Erd Tree. Most Tarnished are doomed to wander the outskirts of the lands between, peering wistfully at the towering Erd Tree. But you are no ordinary Tarnished. And once that is proven, the Volcano Manor will fully extend its invitation to fight amongst a family of champions.
I wanted to quickly touch one more thing about backstories and separate people and kind of all that kind of stuff. Like, one thing I often think about, so if we had to put an age on Marika and when these events happen, I'd imagine that Fair Missoula would be when she's like 18. No, Fair Missoula would be when she's like, her ego already be a decent size, but in a game when he dies, he is a god. Fair Missoula, so the way that I kind of, Fair Missoula would be like if she's like, so the ego starts to evolve when a child is able to recognize themselves as like I am that. Like when they look in a mirror and they're like, oh, like my son's already kind of doing it. Like he knows who he is. He's able to say like, oh, that's me. I'm that person. So I would say it happens when they're like a toddler. So Fair Missoula would be like, I think that the age of that girl that's kneeling down, being 5 or 6 or whatever, is what I would say would fit that theme. And then I would say at that, like if I was going to put an overarching timeline on it, I would say, you know, between the ages of 3 and 5 is Fair Missoula. She starts to develop an ego, and immediately the split and fractures come from that because she's starting to abide by societal pressures and she's trying to be something rather than just being one whole person. So she splits from her ego and her shadow. Hit me with it.
You again. I thought you'd receive a summons to the round table. Nefeli Lu. We met at Stormvale. I'm glad to see you here. I have something for you. I found it in Godric's grafting grounds. You defeated him. You should have it. Make good use of it. I don't intend to make a habit of scavenging corpses. Ah, yes. I wonder if you've met my foster father. He's in his study. The room Ensha's guarding just over there. If you haven't already, I advise you introduce yourself. Father is leader of the Round Table. I'm sure talking to him will be worth your while.
While you're talking, or while I'm assuming you're typing, while you're doing that, I'll keep going on kind of my timeline. So Fair Missoula to me is when we are young, and we're trying to find words for it. So 3 is when she deals with traumatic event. That wouldn't be her miscarriage. No. So I think, like I was saying earlier, I think that there's either 2 traumatic events. One dealing with like her father when she is 3-ish, which makes her pluck the rune of death. And then the second one would be the miscarriage when she's, you know, more developed at like that 25 age. But I think I don't think like for me, it's not, that doesn't affect the timeline as much as it just affects the motive for plucking out the Rune of Death. It's either you pluck out the Rune of Death because death had a profound effect on you early in life, and you refuse to have that be part of your life, and you pluck it out of your psyche and into your shadow, or it's just supposed to be analogous to Christianity. But for sure, there was a tragedy in her life, the miscarriage, further down in her development. So I see she's born, she's living in this completely unconscious realm of life for the first several years of her life, where all of the aspects that make her are unified and whole. And that unified whole God is the one that Placiduce X is waiting for, which is the five fingers, all this different type of stuff. Everything that is split is unified there. At 3 or so, when she's able to identify herself as an individual, she starts separating her unconscious and conscious, her ego and shadow, and the split happens there immediately. And once she is able to identify as her own individual, that's where the lands between comes in. And then we see her, in my mind, I see the War of the Giants being her separating herself from her parents, and the giants in her mind would be her parents. So her establishing herself as an individual person. And then you go a little bit further into adolescence, and that's the whole Radagon, and she's really starting to form her own opinions on herself and opinions on the world and how she thinks that the world should be. And Golden Order and all that kind of stuff is really, really at its peak at this point. And then she kind of goes more on about her life. Third stage of the Animus is starting to be developed, which is more of like a thinker, professor type. She learns more. She starts to, I don't want to say have doubts, but something happens when she is around this, 18 to 20 or whatever, that makes her really question her beliefs. She starts looking inward to the Golden Order, and then the shattering happens and all that kind of stuff. But I guess that would have happened the shattering happens pre-third stage, so that would have happened in between the second and third stage, as Radagon is kind of in control. It's his Logos that is in control. She does sacrifice a whole lot of her children as well. Yeah. Like, I think regardless of what happens, they're have a sacrificed child of America, and then that's been beheaded according to Melon at the church. Yeah. So the quote unquote children are all, again, the way that we see it, are all aspects of America. So these quote unquote sacrifices are probably things that she deems as no longer necessary for her. Things that she once coveted Yeah. So these sacrificed children are yeah, like if you are a different things of herself, she has watched Harry for the first time when she was 20. Holy shit. Different things of herself she has removed from herself. Sort of. So like let's just use let's use how we are as high schoolers compared to how we are as 30-year-olds with children. Like, we sacrifice parts, we kill parts of ourselves or give up parts of ourselves because they're no longer they're either no longer useful to us, or like we recognize that they weren't serving us in a positive way. If that makes sense. Like, that's what I see as her sacrificing her children. Or like kind of like what Cranky is alluding to is like some people are devout in their faith, and something happens in their life, and then they realize that is not serving them any good, and they sacrifice it and they give it up to grow. It's like pruning, right? Like when things get too busy and things are actually stunting the growth of something, you sacrifice little bits here and there so that way the overall tree or bush or whatever you're pruning can grow in a much healthier way. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I must have missed that one too, Cranky. Yeah, Carl Jung actually says that life is kind of split up into like two different stages. Like stage one is all about like growing your ego and kind of being an idiot. And then stage two is like this inward journey of who are you really? Love Jungian. Boo! Holy shit, it's Mikla. As well, I'm just trying to see the world of Elden Ring through, with you through that light. I'm feeling a lot of what you're saying. Oh, good. Yeah. Yes, it's confusing. Yeah, I think there's probably a bunch of stages of life. I'm just saying, like, kind of like what you're saying, Act 1 and Act 2 is, like, the bigger chunks of it. I agree with you. I'm sure, like, you could find a Google article about there being 2 stages of life and there being 20. Mimicry, self-discovery, commitment, and legacy. It's like a big version of The Office. Alright, let's see. Do the village, and then I'll probably call it for... Yeah, we demand some answers, Mikola. What? Why is she here? What? Two traumatic events makes sense. Dad concept still in play. And the childbirth one. Yeah. Mikola's lily. Delicate water lily of unalloyed gold that has started to fade and wilt. Material used in crafting. Flower signifying faith in the Halig tree, thought to be beloved by the Empyrean Mikola in his youth. So, I wonder if Saint Trina's would be like Mikola's shadow. Or how that... Nah, Saint Trina, me broski. What does that mean?
Please no, dear me. I haven't a clue. No secrets lie with me, not a one. Oh, please leave me be. Wait then, you're not one of them? Well, what a relief. Oh, goodness me. I am Albus and Albinoric. As you can see, we're finished. The whole village is finished. The cursemongers have destroyed everything. No one that remains has their wits about them. I beg you. Would you look after this medallion?
I have no idea.
Keep it out of the
I don't know, Cranky.
And if you should meet the young Albinoric Latena, then please give it to her.
Will do.
A chosen land awaits us, Albinorics. The medallion is the key that leads to the city. It's only a quaint treasure for we who cannot make the journey. But for dear Latena, it is needed to fulfill her purpose. My legs will soon fade, and with them my life. Alas, this is the immovable fate of all Albinorics.
Sickle fashioned from ivory. Weapon carried by the age. These weapons are evidence of their dedication to the Hallow Tree, despite never having entered its presence. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna call it a night. We'll be back on tomorrow sometime. But hope you guys have a good night, and I appreciate you hanging. If you haven't, subscribe, hit that bell icon, all that kind of good stuff. Appreciate you guys and all your comments and stuff. It goes a long way. So have a good night, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.